Game 7 of the 2012 high school football season. Tonight we have a good one as the 5-1 Wauwatosa West Trojans are in town. They are a team loaded with speed, of which Greendale will have to be careful of. Greendale is coming in tonight 4-2 after a disappointing loss last week against the Greendale and West Vikings. Greendale needs a win to guarantee a playoff spot, while Wauwatosa is already in. Greendale would be kicking first to start the game. They must have spotted something on the game field, so they decided to execute an onside kick, which was perfect, resulting in them getting the ball on offense first. When everyone got off the pile, it would be Jake Sawicki that recovered the free ball at Tosa's 49. 15 plays and a lot of clock later, Greendale would cross the goal line as quarterback Josh Ringelberg would sneak it in from 1 yard out. Kicker Frankie Rakowski would split the uprights, and Greendale was on the board first with a score of 7-0 and 5:59 left in the opening quarter of play. After the ensuing kick, the dangerously fast Wauwatosa West Trojans would start from their 23. The spirited Panther defense was all over them like a tailor-made suit as they forced the Trojans to punt, going 3-0. After the kick, Greendale would begin from their 34. Again, they looked like they were putting together a nice time-consuming drive, but on the 8th play, the fumble bug would hit them as the exchange between Ringelberg and Sawicki was missed, resulting in a loose ball of which Tosa would recover on their 29. It was now time to see if the defense could repeat their earlier performance. They didn't this time as Tosa decided to attack the middle, of which the Panthers had a hard time stopping. 12 plays later, Tosa reached the end zone as running back Greg Lewis would take it in from 6 yards out. Kicker Zach Veit would make his kick, tying the game up at 7s with 9:23 left in the second quarter. Panthers would start their next drive following the kick on their 30. This time things went south as Ringelberg would fumble the ball, of which Tosa would recover on Greendale's 40. The Panther defense came up big this time as they forced the Trojans to turn the ball over and downs at their 37. On this drive, Greendale was moving the ball, but the little yellow flags that have been haunting them lately came out and forced a long yardage situation. They would eventually have to punt from Tosa's 40. On the play, Peter Pekar would get off a huge punt that was down at the 2-yard line, pinning Tosa about as far back as you can. On the second play, however, Tosa would get themselves out of trouble with a nice 47-yard pass reception by speedster Devlin Ferguson, who took the ball out to the Tosa 49. 5 plays later, Tosa running back Mickey Morgan would take a handoff and score from 26 yards out on a perfectly executed play. This time the holder for the point after mishandled the ball, resulting in no kick, so Tosa would only get the 6 points as the score was now 13-7 with 1:14 left in the first half. Greendale would run 4 plays before the first half would come to an end. Greendale would be getting the ball first to start the second half. After the return, they ended up starting from their 36. They were forced to kick after 5 plays as they had to deal with a couple penalties once again. After the kick, Tosa would begin from their 19. The Panther defense managed to force Tosa to punt as they went 3 and out. After the kick, Ringelberg and the offense would have to start from their 32. 2 plays later, Greendale fumbled for their 3rd time in the game as Sawicki and Ringelberg could not complete the exchange once again. Tosa now had the ball on Greendale's 36. Tosa continued to take it right at the Panthers. 5 plays later, they reached the end zone as Demarius Purifoy would take it in from 6 yards out. Veit made the kick, and Tosa now had a comfortable lead by a score of 20-7 with 5:58 left in the third quarter. After another modest return, Greendale would start from their 34. 11 plays later, the Panthers found themselves in the end zone as Ringelberg would take it in from 1 yard out. Rakowski made the kick, making the score 20-14 in favor of Tosa with 3:38 left in the third. This time Rakowski would make it easy for the coverage guys as he kicked the ball into the end zone. As a result, the Trojans would have to start from their 20. 8 plays later, Greendale managed to stop a drive, forcing Tosa to a field goal situation. After a perfect snap and hold, Veit would split the uprights for a 25-yard field goal, which would increase their lead to a score of 23-14 with 11:01 left in the fourth quarter. After the kick, Greendale would start from their 26. 6 plays later, Tosa's Jamison Brock would step in front of a Ringelberg pass and return it all the way to the Panthers' 12. 2 plays later, Morgan would get the call and score from 12 yards out. Fight made the point after, and Tosa now had their cushion back with the score of 30-14 and 8:24 left in the game. The Panthers now had their work cut out for them. They would be starting from their 29 following the kick. After overcoming a few penalties and converting some crucial fourth downs, they reached the end zone on a 10-yard run play by Ringelberg, capping off a 10-play, 71-yard drive. Unfortunately, our cameras missed that play and the point after, so you're just going to have to believe me. Because of the score, Greendale had to go for two. On the snap of the ball, Ringelberg would hook up with Picard for a successful conversion. The score was now 30-22, Tosa with 5:07 left in the game. After the kick, Tosa would now begin from their 33. It was up to the Panthers' defense to stop them as fast as they could so they could leave enough time on the clock for the offense to do their thing. They managed to do that and forced Tosa to punt as they went 3 and out. On the kick, the Trojans would enjoy a nice roll as the ball would eventually be down at the Greendale's 5. It was now time to see if Ringelberg could take the team 95 yards with just 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. They slowly and methodically worked the ball down the field. All of a sudden, Ringelberg would find wideout Galen Siebel, who made a great catch and an even better run as he managed to get the ball all the way down to the 8-yard line and then out of bounds. 2 plays later, Ringelberg would finish the deal as he took it in from 2 yards out. Now it was time for the biggest play of the game. Greendale would need to go for 2 to tie the game and force overtime. If they don't make it, they'll lose. Of course, nothing comes easy as someone jumped on the line of scrimmage, backing them up 5 more yards. On the next play, Ringelberg would throw a quick pass to wideout Nate Miller, who caught the ball on the 5. With sheer determination and a defender right in front of him, he would lower his head and drive forward, making the goal line, and just like that, Greendale tied this game up at 30 with 26 seconds left in regulation. All Greendale needed to do on the kick was not to let anybody get away on them. The coaches instructed Rakowski to kick a hard squib on the ground to avoid a big return. Well, that is exactly what happened, as Morgan would get the ball with the head of steam and return it all the way to the Panthers' 11 before being knocked out of bounds. Just like that, Greendale was now in big trouble of losing this game in regulation, as Tosa was already in field goal territory with 15 seconds left in the game. On the snap of the ball, they would throw a fade pass to their favorite receiver in the corner of the end zone that was defended perfectly by David Michaels. Tosa had no choice now but to bring their field goal unit out and try the 29-yard attempt. On a perfect snap and hold, White would chilly dip the kick, keeping the Panthers' hopes alive as this game would now move into overtime. After the break and coin flip, Tosa would get the ball on offense first. In overtime, each team gets a crack at the ball and starts from their 25. Everything is the same except there just is no game clock. Ideally, you want to be on defense first because that will dictate what you'll want to do when you're on offense. On the very first play, Tosa quarterback Christian Morzinski would find Brock in the flats, who made a nice catch and managed to slip away out of a tackle for a touchdown. White made the kick, and now it was Greendale's turn on offense. On the very first play, Greendale would get called for a motion penalty, backing them up 5 more yards. On the next play, Ringelberg would get sacked, and Greendale now found themselves going the wrong way as the mistakes continued to add up. Finally, Greendale's hopes of a miracle comeback were dashed as Ringelberg threw a pass over the middle to Picard, who couldn't make a clean catch, and somehow the defender would come up with the ball for an interception. Greendale almost pulled off this miracle as they fought to the bitter end, but the mistakes would get the best of them as they would come up short 37-30 in overtime. This is the first time that Wauwatosa has beaten the Panthers in quite a long time. This game would ultimately come down to mistakes, turnovers, and penalties. Tosa did not turn the ball over and finished with just 3 penalties for 13 yards, while Greendale turned the ball over 5 times and committed 11 penalties totaling 65 yards. The Panthers now have 1 game left next week as they will be hosting the Brown Deer Falcons. Brown Deer is coming in at 5-2 and is tied for first place in the Woodland East Conference. In order for Greendale to be guaranteed a playoff spot, they will need to win. If they do not win, their record will fall to 4-4, which does qualify them for the playoffs, but it does not guarantee that you would be selected. Needless to say, Brown Deer is coming in highly motivated because with a win and a no loss, they would win the Woodland East Division outright. That game is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. Hope to see you all there. So long.